Have you ever struggled to customize a lash design according to your client's natural characteristics? Today, we're gonna walk through that entire process and we're gonna analyze Caitlin's eye and facial characteristics. And then we're also going to sketch out with our digital Lost Artistry lash brushes and show her what exactly her perfect lash design would look like.
I'm actually very excited because I'm usually the one who's doing the lashes, so I get the treatment today.
Princess treatment.
The princess treatment.
You can just sit back and relax, okay?
Yeah, I'm just gonna take it all in.
So Caitlin's also provided me some inspiration from the Lost Artistry mapping booklet. So this is on page 8 and it's style number 6. So I was gonna ask you prior to us taking all your measurements, what it is exactly you like about this photo.
Okay, so for me, what I really like about this set is that it is super natural. Knowing about lashes, I know that the lots of different lengths, the texture, the feathering that was used in this is gonna grow out really nicely. So I really like that. I like high length, but I don't necessarily like high drama.
Okay, yeah. I totally think that's perfect too, just because you do have lighter characteristics. So I think less will be more for you.
Yeah, I think so too. And also I don't, on a day-to-day basis, I don't wear a lot of makeup or anything, so I don't feel like I need something overbearing. But the one thing I am comfortable with and I'm not committed to is the shaping. I would like that to be tailored to me.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear.
So do what you want.
Amazing. Okay, I'm very excited to combine this style, take your measurements, and use the brushes to show you what that would look like.
Yeah, and it'll be cool to see if the mapping that you choose is the same as the mapping that's in here, or if you manipulate it a little bit for me.
For sure. Shall we?
I think we shall.
Awesome.
Also, to anyone that's at home watching this, if this feels intimidating to you, we have a QR code on each page that walks you through the tutorial of the set that we provide in our mapping booklet.
That's so helpful, just because sometimes I like this because it's tackling every kind of learner. Some people are visual learners, some people need to be guided. I'm a slower learner, so I need to watch a video and I need to read alongside doing that. So that's extremely helpful for all learners.
Totally.
So our first step whenever we're analyzing someone's features is to take a mug shot of them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a neutral expression photo of Caitlin, and it's perfect because she's not wearing any makeup today, and that is going to be extremely helpful while we're measuring out her features. We're also going to make sure that there's no facial expression, just because let's say your client's smiling, she could be manipulating her eye planes and she could have upturned eyes, versus if she has a neutral expression, her eye planes could be more leveled. So little things like that are really important to pay attention to.
Also, making sure that your client is looking straight at you, because if their head's kind of tilted left or right and you take it on an angle, I've done this before where I've been like, oh my gosh, I have to do a different mapping on each eye. One eye looks smaller than the other, and I plan this whole set out with like different curls on different eyes or different lengths on different eyes, thinking that they have an imbalance, and then they come in and their eyes are perfectly symmetrical.
Exactly. No, it's so true. It's like even the littlest thing of looking at their pupils and how dilated they are. Because if you are measuring an eye plane and the pupils are extremely tiny or it's extremely large, you're gonna take a wrong measurement.
Fun story. So one time I had this client who I really struggled to map out. I felt like she was suited for a doll eye mapping because of her eye shape. And then every time I did a doll eye mapping on her, it made her look like she had her eyes were crossed.
Oh, really?
Like everything sat so close together, and I was like, whoa, what is I was
What's
so
happening?
Perplexed. And she was my first client who I really dissected it, because I was like, this doesn't make sense. But there's a reason why. So what I actually learned was that her actual pupils and her eyes, so naturally most people's, when you look straight ahead, they kind of sit in the middle of your eyes. Hers just sat a little further in, like the tiniest amount in.
Her like actual pupils?
Her actual eye, like her the color
iris.
of her eye, her whole
oh,
color
really?
of her eyes and her pupils.
It sat more in. That's so interesting.
A little bit closer in. And when you look at her, you couldn't even tell.
Wow.
But when I lashed her, it really drew emphasis to the fact that they sat a little closer in. So what ended up working best for her was a squirrel eye mapping with direction outward to actually, instead of elongating her eyes, was to actually draw attention away from the fact that her iris sat a little bit further in.
And I bet it looked more like a doll eye on her, a natural design kind of eye.
Absolutely, it was perfect. So I feel like when in doubt, if there's any mapping that is best suited for most people, I'm gonna say squirrel, and then you can just manipulate your direction.
I agree. Or natural design.
Yeah, which is kind of like a squirrel anyway.
Yeah. It is very similar, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. So, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's take my mugshot.
So, we're gonna go ahead. I like to take it on my iPad so that everything's here. So, I'm gonna just go ahead and take that of you. Okay, so I'm gonna get you just to look directly into the camera. I'll count from 3, 2, 1. We have a beautiful face here. We are about to take our measurements on Caitlin. And from there, we're gonna sketch out a lash design for her using the Lost Artistry digital brushes. All right, so the first thing I like to do is I actually like to use the toolbox setting that comes on the Photos app, which is perfect. And I like to utilize this ruler over here. So the ruler is extremely helpful, and you'll see why. So what I'm first gonna look at is the planes of her eye. So something that I want you guys to note is her pupils are not very large. So because of that, I actually wanna draw over that pupil and kind of expand it to a more equal diameter. So I'm just gonna imagine her pupil was around this size. All right, cool. Now from here, I'm going to measure the plane of her eye directly through the center of her pupil. Oops. Cool. The little gulp.
Oh, you can hear my gulp.
It's so cute. All right, cool. So now we have her eye plane measurement, right? So as we can see, this outer corner is falling a little below the line, and same applies here, meaning her eye planes are slightly descending. So I'm just gonna put a little arrow here so that I can recognize her eye planes. Her outer corner sits a little lower than her inner corner. Now we're gonna look at her eye set. So that's gonna be the distance between her eyes. So what I'm gonna do, and my favorite way to measure an eye set, is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add a shape. And I like to add a little line, and I'll color coordinate it so that I don't get confused. So I'm going to place this line from inner tear duct to inner tear duct. Let me just double check that's done well. Okay, cool. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this line and hover it over the distance and width of her eyes. So duplicated it. Now, hovering it over here, there is a slight excess amount of space on the end. So let's double check this other eye. Ever so slightly excess space on the ends. Meaning that I want to say her eye set is ever so slightly wide set. So I'll just write down wide as a cue for me in the center. All right, so now that we know her eye plane, her eye set, let's look at the shape of her eye. So as you can tell, Caitlin has these beautiful big eyes, but looking at the actual shape of them, they pinch in the inner and outer corner. They're widest in the center, but they don't pinch really dramatically. They do pinch, but it's not like an extreme pinch, meaning I want to say she has kind of like a hybrid between an almond and a round shaped eye. Would you say the same? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I want to assess the distance here, right? So looking at this distance, I want to say she has a good amount of space between her eyebrows and her eyeline. And she has a ever so slightly hooded lid, as you can see here. And then we're gonna look at her face shape as a whole. I always struggle with your face shape because
Yeah, it's kind of a mix.
I want to say it's a mix of like a round and a heart.
It's
Would
pretty.
you say that?
I would say it's like, yeah.
So the
kinda
reason
heart-like.
why I think that is because she does have that cute little widow's peak here. There's excess width in her forehead, and then she doesn't have a dramatic slope here.
Yeah, and I also have like a pronounced jawline.
Yeah, you do. That's why
Which
I
kinda
thought like
takes it away.
squarish.
Yeah.
But if I were to measure like the width and the height of your face, I don't think there'd be a crazy difference.
No.
Would you say, right? So I would just do hybrid between a heart and a round. And that's exactly how I would take all of Caitlin's measurements. So now that we have all of Caitlin's measurements and we're gonna be combining her inspiration from the styling book, what we're gonna do is manipulate the actual shape of the lashes and the design of them, but still really hone into the density of this photo. And how do you feel about the lengths in this photo?
Well, I love the lengths. I would love for it to reach a similar point.
Similar point in your
On
eye, just
me.
like just above where your lid's creasing, you think?
Yeah, maybe even a little further. I'm
A
not
little
afraid of
further.
length.
Okay,
As long
good
as
to know.
as long as it's not accompanied by extra drama.
Good to know. So what I would love to see on you, combining all your characteristics, is a open doll eye design. Just because since your eye planes are slightly descending, I'm afraid if we put too much emphasis on the outer corners, it might kind of create a drooping effect. Another thing is, since your eye set is slightly wide set, I'm also afraid if we put the longer length towards the outer corners, it might create an illusion of your eyes being wide set. And then another thing is, looking at your face shape, since it does have almost equal height and width, if we add more height versus width, we're going to create a narrowing effect of your face. So I believe an open doll eye design would be optimal for you. Also, lightening it up, just because you mentioned you really like the natural appearance and taking inspiration from that photo, we could do maybe a dark brown pigment and copy the density of the styling that you showed me.
I love that.
How does that sound?
I love that. In fact, our I'm really happy about that because our dark brown line, I love the color of those, and also they have been selling like no product has ever sold before. Like they're so popular right now, and I've never worn them, and I've never personally worn them. So it's a perfect opportunity because they're just like popping off.
This
right
is
now.
perfect, and I love the shade of those lashes as well. It's like the perfect brown.
Amazing.
Yes. Shall we sketch this out with the digital brushes?
Let's sketch it out with the digital brushes for sure.
All right, so what we're gonna do is maybe collectively we can choose a stamp that you like best.
So based on the actual photo, so again, you guys can see, and we're just gonna go through and find the stamp that looks the most similar to the set that we have for inspiration. So there's so many to choose from. So you just kind of go through and you can draw after. So you'd find something that's the most similar.
And then you critique.
Like an angel set perhaps. Yeah. Or you can draw it out completely up to you.
So
Probably
beautiful.
like wispy
doll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most similar.
For sure. I
do that.
agree. Wispy doll. So we're gonna select this and we're gonna change the color first, right? To more of a brown. So
Darker brown.
darker, right? And we wanna match your
Go, like,
line.
in here somewhere. Let's go like what it actually looks like is probably like somewhere. Hang on, we're gonna move it. Yeah, like maybe something like that.
Yeah, I love that.
That's pretty similar.
And then we're going to stamp it.
Oh,
I know
shoot.
it looks big right now.
Hang on, go back.
I have it.
Oh, perfect.
I have it layered.
Nice.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and we're gonna adjust it to her.
How easy and cool is this?
It's like literally awesome. So you can adjust it to her eye, like width and everything. Oopsies. I'm holding it at such a weird angle that it's not. Hold on.
And you can also, you can warp it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you click warp, I'll show you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Let's go back onto that layer.
I think click this guy, yeah.
Let's go warp, and then you can actually pull it into the
Oh,
eye.
that's so awesome.
Yeah, so that you can perfectly line it up. These are all in our tutorials, so if you purchase them, you don't have to worry about being like, how do I do that? And like coming back and referring to the live. We send you tutorials on literally everything.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that. So we're gonna go freeform or uniform again. Make it a little smaller. So you didn't, yeah, you wouldn't have even seen that.
Yeah, see, there we go, we're learning.
There you go. Something along the lines of this.
It's so beautiful.
Ooh.
Look at that, guys.
And it's so similar to this.
So stunning. So beautiful. I think this just like harmonizes harmonizes everything so perfectly.
Yeah, I actually don't even think that you
I
really
love
need to
that.
draw anything on that one.
No, I would leave it.
So a cool thing now though to look at is if I were like committed to this, then I also have an option for those of you who don't feel comfortable designing your own map just yet. You can start with a foundation of grabbing your maps, pre-made lash maps. So remember that this is called Wispy Doll. And then you go into your pre-made lash maps and you look for the Wispy Doll mapping. Wispy Doll. And then you throw that on here. So now we have a map. You can put it, you can turn it around and put it under my eye, or you can just put it up at top, except I got rid of somehow, hang on guys, I messed it up a little. I got rid of our lash set. I need to go on a different layer.
Also, while you're doing that, so this app is hosted on Procreate, but the actual product that we're using are the Lost Artistry digital brushes. I have them linked in my bio if you'd like, or you can find them on the Lost Artistry site, and you can save 20% off using the code LASHESBYREB. So, yeah, so this is perfect. You have the mapping here, and you can move them and everything, and you can put it right below the eye. So helpful. Also, you can keep everything so organized this way. Like, let's say you made like a client folder, you can have everything like set for your clients and show them prior to their time with you. Like, that'll level up your consultations so much.
So what do you think, lengthwise?
Yes.
Are we gonna keep it that exact mapping?
Lengthwise, I would definitely go longer since you do have a good amount of space between your eyebrows and your eye line. So I would say your longest lengths being in the center with an open doll eye. You could even do like a 15, 16 if you wanted. I've never used the 16 before, but you were saying that sometimes you do use the 16 on yourself.
I love 16 on me. I feel like it's my favorite length. In fact, whenever I use our Citizen lashes, I wear 16.
Oh my god, amazing.
100%
Okay, perfect. I think 16 in the center, and I would maybe taper down beside the 16, skip like 2 lengths, so like 14, skip another 2, 12, and then maybe leave it at a 10 towards your inners, and then replicate it on the end. Really?
Yeah,
okay,
that's exactly
crazy.
how I wear my DIY lashes, so that's really cool.
And then your bottom layer, I'd love to do shorter. So I would do like, let's say 16 is in the center. I would go down like maybe 2 lengths. So I'd do like 14 in that center spot. And then right beside that where it's a 14, I'd go 12 on the bottom layer. Beside that where it's a 12, I'd go 10 on the bottom layer. And then right in your inner corners where you have that 10, I'd maybe do an 8 in your bottom layer.
So for the top layer, would you blend multiple lengths? Like, even though 16 is for my center section, would you blend multiple lengths across that section, or would you leave it all 16?
Can I see the styling? I would I feel like I would try and lash in layers for this to make it more prominent. But it would really depend on if you're looking for a more blended natural look or if you want a more wispy wet vibe.
I feel like I would like a more wispy wet vibe.
Okay, then I definitely lash in layers. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I think that is a great plan.
Yeah.
And diameter wise, to keep it really light and natural, I imagine you will agree with me on this, but there's almost two options. So one, we could create this look by doing classic lashes in 0.10 or 0.12 for my top layer. And then if you're a pre-made fan artist, I would do like 3D long stem across the bottom layer.
Yes, yeah.
Which we also do have in the dark too.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so we could do that. Or we could do the exact same formula, but instead of using classic lashes on the top layer in the 0.12s, we could use 0.03s, 0.05s, or 0.07s in super low dimensions.
Yes.
In wet lashes.
I think I would love to see this in a 0.07.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I feel like
2D.
that'd be so detailed. Yeah, like a 2D, maybe 3 in some sections, but like narrow closed fans vibe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think? I think
that
actually
would be
2D.
beautiful.
I don't even think 3D.
Is it super light? I
It
think
is,
that,
yeah.
the 2D, if you were using the 0.07s, I feel like the 2D would give that really light effect,
look.
and then really complement the dark brown lashes as well.
I agree.
Have any questions? Reach out to us. And if these digital lash tools really spoke to you, please do get in on those. You can find them at lostartistrylash.com, and you can get them for 20% off using this discount code right here. They are going to change your consultation
completely.
life. It is incredible having these. Just such great feedback from everybody. So you're gonna love those. And until next time, I think that sums up today's video.
I know. Thank you so much for watching. It's been such a pleasure. And let us know if you'd like to see more videos like this in the comments down below.
Absolutely. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.